So the vision we hold for you, dear ones, is this is how it'll work for you, how it'll unfold. That you'll be amazed, you'll be lost in wonder, love, and praise as you see the perfect choreography of the divine choreographer to let things unfold in a beautiful way, a natural way. You're all one. You're all peace. You're all love. You're all carrying within you somewhere a manifestation, a spark of the divine. That's what we're interested in. You're all perfect as you are.
Fijn, als je ook even wil liken en abonnee wil worden. Dankjewel en tot een volgende keer. Geniet ervan.
Dear friends, a very warm welcome. It is a great joy and privilege to come into your presence now. But it is not only I who come into your presence. It is always a joy for me to remind gatherings such as this that I do not come on my own, but there are many unseen beings. In fact, there are as many people present without a physical body as those who are. And these dear friends who join you in this celebration, shall we call it, this party, they take full opportunity to use the openness that you bring to hear my message, that they can also pour down on you divine blessings, healing, that they open you to another level of consciousness to receive wisdom and guidance. So it's a joint effort. I don't want all the attention to be on me. I serve you on their behalf, on behalf of all those in the world of light who are connected to you. So it's quite a party. An invisible party, but a very good party. And my being with you is also, I hope, to create a result that at the end of our time together, you'll be able to breathe a huge sigh of relief. Oh, thank God. I can sack my therapist. I can throw away all my books. I can now just be me and not have to strive anymore to be better or different than what I truly am. I don't have to aim for perfection. I don't have to aim for total healing and enlightenment. I can just be unconditionally accepted as I am, by myself, by the highest. Because as I teach you, dear friends, the journey you are on to heal, to grow, is nothing more than to reclaim your innocence. The innocence that is you. Your personalities, of course, have their problems, and you can work on them if you wish, but the energies of this time are actually drawing you to be distracted from that which affects the personality, and instead to be more interested in that which is eternal within you, your innocence, your purity, your perfect intelligence, the love that you are. I don't want you to think that you have to abandon all your desires to feel better about yourself. But anyway, my teaching is the path of evolution, is the path towards innocence, to do what I call a spiritual striptease, to let all that is not true about you fall away. And the perfect timing of our being together now is also because this is a time unlike any other you have ever experienced, certainly in this incarnation. And I like to say in any incarnation. There's never been a time like it, which is why some of you feel you're in a place without a map. You don't have any familiar points of reference. So many of my friends come and say, why, well, I'm lost. Well, I know, of course, they are not lost. But what is happening is a natural response to the energies that you are now enjoying coming to Earth is that all the old familiar points of reference are no longer serving you. And so, therefore, you feel lost. And you are scared because you are losing your attachments to the old identity that you once had. But, dear ones, this is also a time so important for you to learn really the gift of surrender, the fruits that it brings. The acceptance, not fighting, not going into your head. This, of course, is something that many of you do as a reflex reaction when you're lost. You go into your mind. You try to understand things. You try to use something familiar that you know from the past to give you guidance out of where you are. But, dear friends, give up trying to understand this whole period that you're in. As I like to say, if you can understand it, it's not God. And you are here now to experience directly the grace of the Supreme Being, the grace of God, the grace of whatever you want to call your own higher power, that is now ready with the oil, injecting oil into the wheels of your life, that you can effortlessly evolve into the fullest being that you are. The great gift of this time also, and it's such a joy for me to share it with you, is that actually things will just happen to you by itself. Which is why we also say to you, don't worry about dealing always with your wounds. It's like if you have a wound and you pick off the scab, it'll never heal. It's time to expose your wounds, your pains, to the light, like you would do with a physical wound. You expose it to the air, you expose it to the light, and that guarantees a complete and whole healing. So, dear friends, whatever has been your method of healing yourself, remember that you have an infinite resource of healing power that is all around you. It's even in the breath that you breathe. A very simple meditation is simply to imagine you're breathing in the breath of God. Let it do the work. So there's coming, therefore, this acceleration, and this is why it's so important at this time that you employ certain qualities and understandings. One is simplicity. Because if you start to complicate it, you'll get yourself in a knot. So simplicity is a key word. Surrender is a key word. Space is always a key word. Give space to anything that may come into your life. Remember that even as your scientists will tell you, your physical bodies are more space than they are matter. And what is in that space that is between all the cells, all the neurons of your body? It is light. It is energy. This is also part of you. And therefore, dear friends, just be in surrender and be amazed. Be amazed at what you see changing in you without any effort at all. What we would love to see, what we pray to see, what we know we will see one day is all of you here walking through life, as a great poet once said it, lost in wonder, love, and praise. Imagine that you're just so blown away by direct connection to the truth, to the grace of God, to the healing power that is available to you always, to what I call the perfect divine choreography that unfolds everything in a perfect way, like the best dance. One could say you're all dancing together on the same dance floor, all dancing to the same music. Sometimes you go to different parts of the dance floor, you come back and meet each other again, but there is a perfect choreography that unites you all in the dance towards your true freedom. This is what we want you to attune yourself to now, not to be asking yourself the question, how? I'm sure some of you are already asking yourself into what I'm saying, but how? Well, who is asking that question? The mind. And as I've said, the mind doesn't understand this. You're all on a mysterious path. In a way, you're all giving birth to the mystic in you, who doesn't need to know intellectually, who doesn't even need to feel. I urge you, dear friends, not to rely upon what you feel to be a true measure of what is right for you, but it's about deeply knowing. Your feelings may come and go. One day you may feel right, the next day you don't. You can't rely always upon your feelings to be the best measure of what is right. We want you to deeply know the truth. And this is what I want to share with you, the truth, the absolute truth. And the absolute truth is, if you look within, you'll find you're perfect as you are. You don't need to do all the work. It's important to make a distinction between, shall we say, the he and the she and you. Because there is a very big distinction. I could ask you, how are you? And you will say, well, I'm absolutely fine, but he's having a terrible day. She's feeling very tired. But you are not her. You are not him. It's important to allow him and her to have what they're feeling, but don't make it your identity. Have compassion for him or her. Comfort him and her. And the comforter and the reassurer is the real you. And by comforting and allowing, the he and the she become healed. Many of you I know are concerned, or shall we say disabled, by what we call the inner judge. I'm sure you recognize that one for some of you. But the inner judge, as I like to say, is a pathologically lying control freak with no sense of humor. If your best friend was like that, you would drop them immediately. So why share your inner space with this belief, this energy that has one desire only, which is to keep you small and hold you in the past? This is why so many, dear friends, you're feeling blocked. How do I go forward? Because you're in the grip of this inner judge, or an aspect of it, the saboteur, that doesn't want you to grow, that wants to keep you small. It's a comfort place. It's a comfort zone. But a comfort zone is also a stagnation zone. So we want you, dear friends, to be very conscious that this is what maybe is taking place within you, why you're not growing or evolving in the way that you would like to, because another part of you is sabotaging it. A part of you can't yet believe that there's nothing too high or too great for you to achieve. And when you're able to step more on that alignment, there's nothing too high or too great for you to achieve, well, then you allow an openness to come. You have a trustful heart and an open mind. That's the basis of a miracle. A trustful heart and an open mind. But the paradox is that even if you were to realize that point of your greatness, that's when you're already beginning to feel that you are nothing. So the more you can think, I'm nothing, it's a sign of the greater that you are. Because the greatness is nothing to do with you personally. The greatness is that you have released the divine spirit within you. It's the moment at which the rose releases its perfume. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't put it in a bottle, but it is so obviously there. And so, dear ones, don't restrict yourself for fear that you're going to get a huge ego saying, I'm so wonderful. Greatness and ego just don't go together in the way that I'm talking. The greatness of you is immeasurable. It's completely not to be understood. And yet it is so directly experienced by anybody who has the pleasure to come close to you. This is what we mean by presence. The presence is the perfume of the rose. And the presence, your presence, in fact, is not even your presence, dear ones, because presence is not personal. It's presence, which is the perfume, which is, shall we say, the grace, the nature of your spirit. That is what needs to be released to transform the world as you so wanted to do. It's not about being angry. It's not about campaigning or anything like being an activist. It's being that presence, that the still small voice of God is heard and felt and seen through the energy that is the presence. It's so simple. I come back again, dear ones, to the word simplicity. And sometimes my friends are amazed when they say, why, Paul, you make it sound so simple. Well, it is simple. To the mind it's complicated, but for truth, it is simple. So, dear ones, don't worry if you come to a point when you think, I don't know who I am anymore. That's the point where you will hear champagne corks popping in the world of spirit. It's what we long to hear. When you say, I'm nothing, that's not a low self-esteem, that's truth. When Jesus said, on my own I'm nothing, he wasn't saying I have a low self-esteem. He was speaking the truth. If you said, I'm not good enough, that is to do with self-esteem. But to say, I am nothing, that is the truth. I am nothing. There are many great souls on earth now who would say the same. There's a great Tibetan leader, you know him as the Dalai Lama, who calls himself a simple Tibetan monk. Well, is that really how you experience him? It's how he knows himself to be. Because he allows the greater power to work through him. That's just one example, but you could be the same. And all the credit, all the gratitude is not towards you, is towards the highest. If somebody compliments you, says, oh, you're wonderful, thank you so much, that was such a great healing, receive it. After they've gone, you can turn around and say, hey, God, I think this is meant for you. It's so important, dear one, to receive. This is another important subject I want to share with you. Somebody who is so good at giving, but you're not very good at receiving. But the greatest gift you can give anybody is the opportunity for them to give to you. The greatest gift you can give to yourself is to discover the equal joy of giving and receiving. So let this be a commitment for the next few days or next few hours, whatever time you like. Say, okay, I'm now going to focus upon receiving. I'm going to allow love in. I'm going to allow truth in. I'm going to allow the love that is the space also to fill every space in my body. And you can only give then what you have first received. The highest you can give is what you have first received through your surrender, through your trust, through your faith, in the love that is all that there is. We know how hard it is for some of you to receive. You think you don't deserve it. You carry a shame, you carry a belief about yourself that says, I'm not good enough. I'm wrong. Maybe this is going back to the early times of your life where a cry for your mother's help was not responded to, and you thought, oh, there must be something wrong with me. I'm not seen, I'm not heard. But it's so important that by receiving from another, that they will feel heard and seen. And that you're going to be present with them. To be present with another is also a great gift to give. Not in your mind, not trying to think what you're going to say in return, just to be present. In fact, central to my teaching, dear friends, is that if every human being on earth today had the possibility to feel truly seen, truly heard in the depths of their being, then within a generation you would have world peace. So every time you give somebody the ability to feel truly seen and truly heard, because you're not present with them with your mind, you're present with them with their heart, with your heart, then that is your contribution to world peace. You've no idea how that might spread. Would you ever believe it, that the flapping of a butterfly's wings in a distant jungle could affect your harvest in your land here? The butterfly isn't thinking, oh, I'm going to affect the harvest in a distant land. The butterfly is present with what it does. You just don't know. You just don't know how your greatness will affect the world. Don't put any limits upon it. Don't try to understand it. But just try to be true to the highest in you. To be present with everybody. There's a wonderful word used in some languages. I wish it could be employed by everybody in every country. That when you would say to somebody, Namaste. What does it mean, Namaste? It means the God within me honors and celebrates the God within you, the same in you. And if you say that consciously, if everybody could consciously greet your friends with the Namaste, well, that starts a movement. That starts a trend. That starts a healing process. There are little things you can do. Like the butterfly flapping its wings in a distant jungle. You don't have to know what the effect is. That's not your purpose. You don't need to know anything. You just need to trust, this is my integrity in this moment. This is what I desire to give to this person. And what I desire to receive from the person. And you start a movement. And what is going to solve the problems in your world right now is a movement. A movement that will cover the world. Like the waters cover the sea. Imagine how this would feel for you to know you're part of a movement. All of you dear friends here, whether you have any belief, even what you're experiencing from me, that doesn't matter. I don't take it personally. But you have a possibility to start a movement in your neighborhood, a movement in your street, a movement in your work. To be there as the presence that understands the meaning of the word Namaste. to not have any desire to put yourself as a personality in the front row, but to be able to be the observer and allow the truth of you to act on your behalf. And that movement will have great power, but it'll be very gentle. So gentle that nobody will want to resist it. It'll just creep over them. Again, I know I make it sound simple, but it is the truth. The mind wants complexity, the mind wants science, the mind wants proof, but no, because the mind misses this one wonderful possibility, which is to experience the absolute truth found in the present moment, that is the true nature of love and healing. So the vision we hold for you, dear ones, is this is how it'll work for you, how it'll unfold. That you'll be amazed, you'll be lost in wonder, love, and praise as you see the perfect choreography of the divine choreographer to let things unfold in a beautiful way, a natural way. If you try to resist it now, especially in this time that is coming, well, you'll just trip over. It's time to get out of the way. It's time to observe and give thanks for what is happening. It's time to remove all limits of what you think you are capable of doing. In your pandemic period, there was a very useful word that was used, the word lockdown. Well, now, dear ones, it's time for you to come out of your personal lockdown, to let it all hang out shamelessly, without fear of judgment, without fear of what people will think. It's not going to happen now. So many people, yourselves included, of course, are hungry and needy for the signs of truth, of hope, of positive change. And you, dear ones, are in the front line of change. Maybe you don't have any belief systems that correspond to the things I'm talking about. It doesn't matter. If you don't believe in reincarnation, no problem. If you don't believe in the work that I'm doing, no problem. It's not what you believe that matters. You can lose all your beliefs. In fact, many of you are losing your beliefs, and we celebrate that as well. What once excited you has no meaning for you anymore. And you come to a point where, in fact, you may even say to yourself, it's funny, I don't know what I believe in anymore. I don't know what I think anymore. I don't know what I'm attached to anymore. There's only one thing I can say with absolute sincerity and absolute clarity, and that is, I am. If that's the point you come to, dear ones, then hallelujah, you have arrived. Let it happen. Let it happen. Strip yourself naked of all that is irrelevant to this time and just be the love that you are. Be quiet, be silent. Even words you may find get in the way now. You long to just be quietly on your homes, on your own, just being quiet, reflecting, vibrating, breathing in the breath of God. This is the point you're coming to. This is the distillation, the purification. Is burning off the impurities of the mind, of the past, of that which is no longer irrelevant. That's how you, as scientists, get to the point of creating pure alcohol. You burn off the impurities. This is what's happening to you. It sounds incredible, I know, but I just ask you to give yourselves a little bit of time to be able to see how it is happening, how you are changing. If you were to go into nature and watch the green shoots of spring getting taller and bigger and greener until they provide fruit and flowers, observe yourself like that. The plant doesn't have to think, what do I do now? It just corresponds automatically with the laws of nature. It responds to the warmth of the sun that reaches it in the depths of the earth and draws it upwards. Well, the cosmic sun, dear friends, is shining on you. Allow yourself to be drawn up by it. Don't resist it. Even when you find yourself lost in a place without a map. You're never alone in that state of being lost. You're guided into being lost as you feel it. You're guided into an empty space with limited potential. Sometimes for my friends it's like they're sent off to space in a rocket. And for a while the rocket is affected by the gravitational pull of the planet. It wants to pull you back into your old ways, but something stronger than you, the highest within you, pulls you away from the influence of that gravitational pull. And then you're floating in space and you have no way to measure where you're going, how you're going, how fast you're going, but you know this is where you are, and then you are held by invisible forces until eventually you make connection with the gravitational pull of another reality. This is where many of you are. And when you make connection to that new reality, you think, oh, of course, why didn't I know this before? Why didn't I trust this before? Everything is working out for me. And once again, you'll be lost in wonder, love, and praise. It really is a time to look at whatever aspects there may be in you that wants to be in control. We don't judge it, but we're sorry for you for the discomfort that comes with it. We're sorry for you for what you miss in terms of the openness to receive and to allow magic to do its work. There is nothing to fear except fear itself. And dear ones, you're gathered here in a group, a wonderful group, and you're here because some part of you has wanted to share an experience with each other. It may not have been a part of your conscious intention to be here, but this is what is happening. You're in a beautiful sharing. And even my words are irrelevant to that sharing. Just that you are together. Experience this for a few seconds. What it means to be here together in this space. Listening to an old spook like me. Shared in the intention, sharing in the desire to know, sharing a desire to put fear and doubt on one side. Wanting to know that you're not the only one who maybe recognizes some of the things that I'm saying, that you are together in this. That you're part of a movement, the same movement. This is what unites you. And even as I say this, it works. A stronger energy is created in this space. Allow yourselves to feel it. To feel the power of the silence and the peace that are souls connecting to one another. Even if you never see each other again, you have contributed to it. You're empowered by it. And the peace that you feel, dear ones, that is you. You're meeting your true self. You are the peace. Aren't you beautiful? Don't you just want to hug yourself? You are the peace. There may be people passing in front of this building now. They don't realize it, but they're affected by it. It's a field that spreads out. There's no limit to how far it can go. The purity of this peace can affect the most distant star in your night sky and feel one with it. Because what is filling the space between you and that star? It is peace. And it is love. I love sometimes, dear ones, to talk about a great saint. His name was John. And one day one of his disciples said to him, Master, why do you keep talking about love? And he replied, because that's all there is. Just love, love, love. And when this great saint was an old man, he'd be carried through the streets of where he lived, and the only words he ever said in the last years of his life were, love one another. Just that, love one another. He had lots of other things to talk about, but in the end, he could distill everything he had experienced, all the times he had spent with the Master Jesus, all that he had learned, down to those 3 words. The only relevant words. Love one another. And people would gather around him to hear him speak these words, but others would see him coming and think, oh help, there's that crazy old man again. And then run down a side street, doing anything to avoid being confronted by this message to love, because they were still attached to their egos, still attached to their fears, to their pasts. But your roles, dear one, without even being specific in the people, is by your presence to love people into loving. That's what presence can do. There must come a moment where every resistance to love is overcome. Love each other into loving. This is what is meant as Jesus as the shepherd, not being content till he had found every last sheep. And you are like shepherds too, dear ones. And sometimes, as you will know about a shepherd, well, they're very on their own. There isn't a shepherd's club where they all meet for a drink one evening. Every shepherd is out on their own, with their flock. And maybe the circle of friends you move in, that is your flock. And you will feel a little bit alone in that flock. Feel different, but they are your flock. You are the shepherd, they are the flock. It can be 1 sheep, it can be 100 sheep, it doesn't matter, we don't count. But take care of your flock. By taking care of your own alignment to the highest, to the truth, and the flock will stay with you. Some of you may be given a very specific role. As a wise man or woman, as a healer, as a therapist, whatever it is, you are the shepherd. It is the presence working through you that empowers you in that role. Why people may sometimes say to you, I always feel better when I've been with you. It may not be because you're the best massage therapist or therapist in the world. It's because of your presence. Whatever is your task, however you define it, is an opportunity for people to be invited into the presence, which is you, which is love. No matter what your role is, where your job is. You may be working in an office of many people, be the only one with any interest in consciousness. Well, you have a very important role to play. Your presence there adds something. There's nothing too great for you to achieve, and there's nothing too small that isn't as equally great in its modesty, in its invisibility. There's no measure for it. No measure at all. No need to compare yourself thinking, oh, they're doing a more important job than me. No, everybody is important, because in essence you're all one. Don't compare yourself. I'm aware there are many individuals here in the space, but I look at you all and I see you all the same. You're all one. You're all peace. You're all love. You're all carrying within you somewhere a manifestation, a spark of the divine. That's what we're interested in. So there's no need to feel guilty about anything. There's certainly no need to feel shame about anything that says you're a flawed and defective human being and you have to do better. No. You're all perfect as you are. It's amazing to know that not one snowflake has fallen that has been exactly the same as another. Everything is different, but they're all made of the same substance. That's what you have to remember, dear ones. You're all made of the same substance. And that's what you have in common. That's where you're one. Even if you're manifesting differently as a personality, don't worry about perfecting the personality. That's a life task, many lifetimes task. You haven't got time for that. You haven't got time to be fixing the personality. You've only got time and the impetus now to reveal the truth of you. These are urgent times, dear ones. You don't need me to tell you this. In your relationships, let your relationships evolve. I know some could say I'm the last of the great unromantics, but it's true that if you allow your relationships to evolve, the nature of your love will change. And you'll say to your loved one, I love you so much. But then you'll think, hang on a minute, this isn't actually what I really feel anymore. Oh dear, does this mean I don't love this person? Then you have to go within and think quietly and think, oh, I'll try this. You'll whisper in their ear, the love that I am honors, celebrates, and gives thanks for the love that you are. The peace that I am honors and celebrates and gives thanks for the peace that you are. It's a time to lift things out of the personal. Imagine, dear friends, what a different world you would have if from now on, neither you nor anybody else ever took anything personally. Why do you think there's so much conflict in the world? People are taking things personally. They're making others wrong and themselves right. So let friendships, relationships, partnerships, let them evolve into the transpersonal experience of love. You can sometimes say to your loved one, oh, I'm tired of this transpersonal stuff. Let's have a lovely codependent weekend together. Indulge our patterns, and then at the end of the weekend you think, oh, thank God I'm back to myself again. Oh, what a relief. There's nothing wrong in making a conscious choice about that. But just know that the potential is within you to live that transpersonal love. As a great teacher once said, I will raise all men up unto me. And what he meant was, I will raise all beings up to the level of the I am that they also are. That's what presence does. It raises people up. It's like a tuning fork. People want to tune up to the same vibration as that presence. And just by being that which you are, you will fulfill that teaching given by the great master to raise all around you up to the level of the I am that you are and which they are. It's so simple. But, dear friends, like I said at the very beginning of our time together, you don't have to be perfect, as you would call it. There's no way you are going to know anyway the effect of what I'm talking about, so you can't measure it. Please, dear friends, be very careful that you will never engage the archetypes of Superman or Superwoman. Always trying to do best, always trying to do more. They are so dangerous. And they lead you around in circles. They lead you to sickness and disease. They lead you to burnout. They lead you to disappointment. You're already super because you are. The personality doesn't have to achieve it. The soul doesn't have ambition because it doesn't have any further to go. It just is whole and complete as it is. That's a relief. One of the most powerful exercises you can give, as often as you think about it, is to breathe a huge sigh of relief. Oh, thank God I don't have to be Superman. Oh, what a relief. Oh, everything's working out perfectly for me. Oh, what a relief. And with that sigh of relief, you're going to take a deep intake of breath, and your whole body is telling you with a deep intake of breath, it's good to be alive. And it's true. It is good to be alive. Dear friends, I'm doing a lot of talking. So I don't want to dominate proceedings. I also want to give to any of you an opportunity to ask questions if you so wish. Please don't be shy. We're amongst friends.
Can you tell me, White Bull, what is the reason, if we are already divine creatures, why do we have that brain which is always critical to us? Is it because to give us the ability to choose?
It is to give you the ability to choose, of course, but above all, it is to give you a motivation, because in the end, the brain becomes a bit of a burden. The mind becomes a burden. And if you're going to realize the truth, the realization of it is so important because, yes, it allows you consciously to take back the power to your true self. If you're ruled by the mind, you're being unconscious. And so important that you have to start by being unconscious before you can absolutely celebrate becoming truly consciousness. So it is that contrast. Some people are born whole and complete in themselves. They don't have that journey to go through. You don't have to be jealous of that. That's just their purpose. Give thanks for your journey, dear one, that you may have felt so disconnected, so unhappy, so lost, because that is the impetus to take back the power, to consciously realize the truth of you. And only when it is consciously done is it really of value. Some of you may have had a difficult beginning in life. But if you were born only into a life of cozy domestic bliss, your lives would have gone around in circles. You wouldn't be here today. You'd have remained comfort, unconscious, sitting in your chairs, purring like a pussycat, and actually not doing very much. You need the discomfort. It's rather like the stone in the shoe. Even the smallest stone in the shoe can be very uncomfortable. And you walk with a stone in your shoe, and therefore you have to walk in a strange way not to feel the pain. And then walking in a strange way becomes the norm. You don't know what it's like to walk normally until the moment comes and you remove the stone in your shoe, but then to walk normally seems strange because you've never learned it before. But you can very quickly get used to walking without a stone in your shoe. So when you're feeling rather bad one day, or somebody's next says, oh, you're in a rather bad mood today, you say, yes, I have a stone in my shoe today. But I'm going to go home now and I'm going to take the stone out of my shoe and consciously come back to the truth of what I am. It's like that. The mind is a stone in the shoe. That means you have to compromise in your way forward until it becomes so irritating. Oh, I'm not going to go on walking, I'm going to stop. I'm going to remove the stone from the shoe. I will walk normally and trust that very quickly to walk normally will feel the right thing to do. This is the gift that awaits you. When you have a realization, it seems strange. You don't know yourself. Suddenly, the inner judge is gone. You don't know yourself. Something is missing. But you can very quickly get used to it because it is the norm to be without the inner judge. It's the same with love. Some people only know love because it's painful. Being in love is painful. But then if you give yourself a rest, then suddenly you wake up in the morning and you feel well. But you have to be careful, like a friend of mine said to me, talking about relationships, that when she woke up in the morning, she felt well and she said, oh no, I don't love him anymore. So she dig a hole for herself because she was so familiar that pain and love go hand in hand. No, that's not a good equation, Ziela. Peace and love go hand in hand. And peace is the foundation stone of love. Only peace. This is why, as I like to remind my friends, when Jesus said goodbye to his disciples for the last time, before he was taken away for his torture, he didn't say, my joy I leave with you, even my love I leave with you. He said, my peace I leave with you. Peace is the beginning. Peace is the end. Out of peace comes joy. Out of peace comes love. And removing the stone from the shoe brings peace. And we don't want you to suddenly think you don't have to have a mind anymore. You need your minds, but this has to be the deal you strike with your mind. When you realize that you are the slave of your mind, you say, okay, dear mind, I get your trick. I see what you're trying to do. So this is the deal. I offer you promotion. And the promotion I offer you is this, that I'm no longer going to be your slave, but you become my servant. And together you co-create with your wonderful minds a reality infused with truth, other love and peace and joy. Your mind wants to be a servant. Make it your servant. Does this answer your question a little bit, dear one?
Yes.
It's a rather long answer, but I hope my words resonate in it. Essentially, it is that freedom is only to be truly enjoyed when it is consciously claimed. So, next question.
You sometimes say heaven comes to earth.
Yes.
Are we part of that?
Well, heaven comes to earth because most people want to rise up, they want to go to heaven. So many of my friends will come to me and say, why, well, I really don't want to be here anymore. I want to go home. Well, they've never left home. Heaven is here on earth. Heaven resides in your heart. Heaven is freedom from all that restricts the perfect manifestation of the divine self. And one of the great joys and special experiences of this time is heaven is coming to earth in the frequencies of light that are unavoidably coming from the universe towards your planet. They are stimulating that time of heaven on earth. You haven't come to here to be a spirit, dear friends. You've come here to be a grounded example where heaven and earth meet in this beautiful planet that you're inhabiting. That's the reason I say that. Some people will use the expression bypassing. They don't want to deal with the heavenly reality, so they want to go up to heaven. They want to spread wings and float. But no, that doesn't do any good for anybody. You want to ground the truth in you, in the physical body. I've talked already a lot about presence. That presence is heaven in you, is space and freedom and peace and joy. It comes down into you. That is truly incarnation. This is why we talk about the second birth, and this is what is happening to many of you at this time. You may have been physically born however many years ago, but now you're ready to be reborn. Really coming down into earth, coming down into your bodies, bringing the light down into you. In classical teachings, it's called the Logos. This is something that some of you are already experiencing a little bit. Where you see the past is dissolving over the horizon. It's like beginning a new incarnation, a new life in the same body. Welcome it. Don't worry about trying to hold on to anything. Just be with the experience now. Again, I come back to my message. Receive, receive. Breathe in the breath of God. It's so good you asked this question, dear one, because it is such an important part of the teachings now. To be prepared for the new. A new heaven and a new earth, as the great Saint John wrote about. Well, you are a part of creating the new heaven and the new earth. It sounds fantastical. You look what's happening in the world, you think, well, how can that be possible? It's not going to happen overnight, but it's time to start creating it now, to build the foundations of it. Every structure, solid structure, must have a firm foundation, and it begins with every one of you when you can bring heaven down into you. You are a foundation stone of the new heaven and the new earth. It's very exciting. And if, as a result of that, you feel peace because you feel connected, well, what can be a greater reward than that? Just that. To be a foundation stone, a little foundation stone, the size of a pebble, the size of a grain of sand. It doesn't matter. Let your faith and your presence and your intention to be present be the foundation stone of the new heaven and the new earth. It's what you are here for, dear ones. This is your purpose. You have other purposes too, of course, but this is the big one. This is the big one. And you have a choice in it, of course. You're not going to be dragged, kicking and screaming into reality that you're not ready for. The time will come. As I say so often, God is never late but never early either. It'll happen at the right time. And maybe, like another great master, you will say, aha, my hour has come. So, dear ones, sadly we are coming towards the end of our time together. But before I withdraw, which is not to go so far away, but just to liberate my instrument from his purpose here. But what I want to ask you to do is to really focus upon this word space. The space that is in you. The space that is all around you. It's such a high vibration word, space. Even to say to yourself sometimes quietly, you're driving your motor car, you're sitting at home, space, space. Space. When the rose is still a bud, there's not much space inside that bud. When the warmth of the sun and the rain comes to that rosebud, the membrane that has protected it is ready to fall away. It has fulfilled its purpose. The hour has come for the rose to bloom. And in the space it shows, you can see it all its beauty. It welcomes the space. And as it marries the space, the perfume is released. Imagine that. Opening, expanding, revealing the absolute truth, the full truth, with the beauty and the wonder and the miracle and the perfection and the innocence and the simplicity and the power that you are, the power that is your faith. This is an important factor. That with this openness and this space and this alignment, people will see you and think, here's somebody of faith. I can trust them, I can follow them. Faith, not coming out of what you feel, but faith coming out of what you deeply know. That resonates in every cell of your body. That has no fear. This is already in you all. Show it. Release it. So, dear friends, sadly the time has now come when I must leave you, and I want to thank you so much for the great gift you have given me, not only that I can fulfill my normal function, but most importantly and most beautifully that in this time together, that I could serve you. I leave you with all of my love and my blessings and the prayer that I have for every one of you for the healing of everything that stands between you and your perfect good, for the freedom to be all that you truly are on earth, and to allow life on earth to be blessed by the power of your own everlasting peace, your endless joy, and your perfect and eternal love. And with all love to you, I say God be with you.